Hello, lovely chem students. I'm so sorry I can't be with you today, but today we are working on learning about percent yield. Okay? So, percent yield is a measurement that indicates how successful a reaction has been. In the equation below, actual is the value that you actually produce from the lab. It is measured, not calculated. And theoretical is the value that you can make in theory, which you're going to calculate, not measure. When we say that this is calculated, most of the time, that means that you are using dimensional analysis. Okay, that's a calculated value. The actual is something that's just going to be given to you because you measure it. Okay, our equation here is pretty simple. We take that actual value, we divide it by our theoretical value, and we multiply it by 100 to make sure that it ends up in that percentage form. So we're going to do the first problem together, and then you have two problems that you need to do on your own. Okay? In number 1, if you begin with 20.7 grams of calcium carbonate, theoretically, that number should be the reaction should produce 11.4 grams of calcium oxide. Using the balanced equation below, you could prove this to yourself by doing the dimensional analysis calculation, right? Where we go from grams to moles, moles to moles, moles to grams, and we can get that. I did it for you. When you perform this reaction in the lab, though, you actually produce 6.81 grams of calcium oxide. We want to figure out what is the percent yield of the calcium oxide. Okay? So our percent yield equation is where we put that actual measured value on top. That is our 6.81 grams. We divide that by our theoretical value, which is our 11.4 grams. And then we're going to multiply the whole thing by 100 to make sure that we end up in units of percent. Okay? So if we plug that into a calculator, we get something like 59.7368, right? We can round this to just a couple decimal points, and we get 59.7% as our final answer. Okay? That equation in and of itself should not be particularly tricky to you, as long as you remember that you're calculating the bottom value, you're measuring the top. Another way that I help students with this is in all of these problems, your theoretical should be larger than your measured. There will be instances in a lab where you could have a larger measured, but in theory you should never have more than 100% yield. On the other two problems that you are working on, you need to calculate the theoretical yield first. So you're going to do a dimensional analysis problem in order to figure that out. On the back, that dimensional analysis problem is a limiting reactant, right? So make sure that you solve that one twice. Then you can use your answer in part B for both of those to calculate your percent yield. All the answers are on the back, so make sure that you show work. When you are finished with this worksheet, you are going to upload a picture onto Schoology to prove that you completed it. Once you're done with that, once you have uploaded your picture onto Schoology, that is turned in, make sure that you grab a copy of the lab, and then you should be working on that pre-lab. The pre-lab is those 5 questions in the pre-lab section, okay? Make sure you read through the lab, make sure you're familiar with what you're going to be doing. We'll be using that on Wednesday to set up our lab. I hope you all have a great 2 days. If you finished with both of those things, please make sure that you work on your Unit 6 review, which is due on March 17th, or that you are working on any late or missing work or studying for your test in any way. I put additional study resources up front, so there are extra problems that you can use to practice if you are done, but you should be working on chemistry. I will see you all on Wednesday.